On this week's episode, did Avatar find its way above water? Can Blockbuster Video finally be put to rest? And is the Toys R Us revival in Macy's a good thing? All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do whatever it is that you can to support us at the Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, the Lakers Fast Break, our great friends at the KoopaDGen. So go ahead and check out KoopaDGen today. Right there for you on Twitch. Of course, also as well, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. The Happy Hoarder. Josh is so busy right now at the Happy Hoarder. He was just at the Richland Mall in Texas, right there for you, right there selling all weekend long. He's exhausted, so I had to go ahead and tell him, you need a day off, my friend. You come back later this year for year-end special, so go ahead, take some rest. You've been working nonstop. The counter's right there for you with your own great business, the Happy Hoarder. If you want to see what he's selling and maybe get a piece of it yourself, go ahead and stop by thehappyhoarder.com or the Happy Hoarder on Facebook. Plus, our good friends, the Vampires and Vitae, Melinda and Robbie, and the whole gang are right there for you. Of course, Vampires and Vitae and Wild Beyond the Witchlight at Wizards and Wine on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to all that today, like that all that today, and do whatever you can to support all of that today. And if you can, it is sincerely appreciated. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without a good friend of mine, and I've got tons of good friends, but not many are better than a good man indeed. I have known this man, well, he would say fortunately, but on the other way around is probably unfortunately for him, over a decade now. He was a mainstay for us at GameSource and yourgamesource.com. He has been a mainstay whenever I needed help, and I needed to go ahead and tell Josh he needed a break for us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. He's a good man indeed. You got to go ahead and check out what he's doing today on Twitch. Like I said, lots of gaming action for you right there at KoopaDGen. It is my very good friend. It is Jamie Monroy, aka KoopaDGen. Great to have you back in the house once again.
So great to be back. It feels like forever, but it feels like just yesterday.
Just yesterday. That's almost song lyrics, man. Are you sure you weren't reading a Hallmark card?
Oh, it was close.
Okay.
I don't want to know what that copyright thing's like.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, last thing we need is any more copyrights. That brought down Game Source on YouTube. No, come on. That brought down Game Source on YouTube very, very quickly, and we won't talk about that. But once again, it is the Pop Culture Cosmos. Have a great show lined up for you. We will be talking, as I talked about on Friday, about the results, the first weekend results of Avatar 2, The Way of Water. Was it a hit for James Cameron and Disney, or was it not quite the things they were looking for as far as a cultural repeat of the event that was known as Avatar? We'll go ahead and talk about that coming up in the show. Plus also as well as a superhero fanboy deluxe that I've known all my life with him, which is again over a decade now.
Made me feel old.
Yes. Emphasis on old. I wanted to ask him real quick his thoughts on the DC restructuring, the possible out of Wonder Woman, the definite out of Henry Cavill as Superman. I want to hear his thoughts on that. Plus Aquaman 2. After that, Jason Momoa probably is no more as well. So we'll talk about that coming up in a bit. Plus also as well, it is almost that time. You need to go in panic mode if you haven't figured out what to get for that pop culture fan in your life. So I know he has some last minute Christmas gift ideas. I have some last minute gift ideas. that I'd love to tell you about, and he does as well. Some of my stuff is repeat, but I have not heard what he has to say, so I'm interested to hear what he has to say coming up on the show. Blockbuster was canceled this past week by Netflix. We'll talk about if this could finally be the dirt. If this is finally the dirt on the grave of Blockbuster, and if Netflix is gleefully the one that's doing it, putting all that dirt on the grave of Blockbuster. That's coming up on the show as well. Plus, another game, another round of What's in the Box right here for you. It's ThinkWrite. ThinkWrite Technology sent me this awesome box. What's in a box? I'll tell you on the show as well. But first, my friend, I also want to go ahead and mention that Toys R Us revivals are in the house, so we'll talk about that on the back end. But first, it is Avatar 2, The Way of Water, earning an estimated $434 million, probably thereabouts after all the final tabulations come in, because, still estimated, as far as what it was supposed to do tonight as we're recording this, but about $435 million worldwide at the box office, 300 of which is international, 134 of which is here in the United States. Where at one time, I'd say about 10 days ago, it's about 175 to 180 estimated million as far as what it was going to be taking in, just by tracking receipts and things of that nature, interest and all that. It actually is not even close to that. And it's actually not even close to Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. International, again, as I said before on the Friday show, I thought that the international audience would support this movie, and for now, it looks like it has.
Yeah, it's true. I think Way of the Water got a little soggy for him.
Ooh, he's been waiting for that pun
I
now for
have
like
been waiting
8 minutes
for
and
that for
16
at least
seconds.
that long. At least
Yeah.
that long. But history did not repeat itself, and I think that's what they were really, really hoping for. They're hoping for one of those easy cash grabs, I want to say, where they could slap that Avatar name on it, and it was good to go, right?
Well, the thing is with Avatar, it never really earned $100 million in any weekend at domestically or the box office. It made about 75 million, I think, off the top of my head, right thereabouts. But it kept on making 75, 50, 60, 70, week in, week out, week in, week out. It had some extremely long legs of any movie of its kind. I think the only thing I compare it to recently are the Spider-Man No Way Home, Top Gun Maverick
Yeah, I was
movies.
gonna say Far From Home and like Maverick. I think were the only ones that even came close, and those aren't even that close still.
No, no, because Avatar was a thing for over a year at the box office. So my question to you is, again, international, I think is still going to support this movie long term. Whether it does as well as it did back in 2009 is yet to remain to be seen, and I don't think it's going to do that, but it's still going to be very strong international wise. But my question to you is, do you think in the age of streaming, the inevitable Disney Plus run that it's going to have, and the fact that, well, so many people now, even though James Cameron is beating it over everyone's head that you got to go see it in the theaters on IMAX and 3D, but with those nice 60, 70, and 80-inch 4K television sets that we all have now, in the age of that, do you really think it's going to be in the theaters that amount of time that it needs to be, over a year and a half in the making?
I don't think it's gonna have that kind of run. Not these days. These days, there's movies that should have had longer runs. I feel in theaters these days that haven't.
Yeah.
They're in, they're out, or look at the ones that they're in for maybe 30 days tops, and then straight to a streaming platform.
Yeah, I agree. Like, for instance, Knives Out, the sequel, that was only in limited amount of theaters for a couple weeks, and of course, it's coming out next week on Netflix. I really think that Netflix left a lot of money on the table by doing that, not just putting out for like 4 to 6 week run. Let's go ahead and say do that before Netflix. Just do a full 2,000, 3,000 theater run like that here domestically or worldwide. Some really nice, good number there, and I think they would have really generated a lot more dollars there. I think also as well when it comes to what we see with other movies, like you said, Strange World by Disney, that was a flop at the box office. That you want to get out of the theaters as fast as you can and put that on Disney Plus. So it's again, these companies should work with the theater owners very carefully and say, you know what, I've got something that's not making you any money at the theaters. Let me take it out now, this one, and let me replace instead that might generate more funds for you.
Well, yeah, I agree because inevitably, I'm gonna date myself here, but inevitably, all these streaming platforms when it pulls these movies, to them like that, it's just the same scenario as back, when there was dollar theaters.
Yeah.
So if a movie was flopping in the major theaters, it got pushed to those dollar theaters quick. But those
Yeah,
top end
they're
movies,
eight. People go at you. Gen Z would look at you like, "What are dollar theaters,
what's a
man?"
dollar theater, right? Right. But I mean, that was that was what we had. We had no streaming platforms, so a dollar theater was our equivalent of, well, hey, let's go see something on the cheap and see if it's any good.
There's still kind of like a remnants of one about maybe what 10 minutes away from us on Flamingo, right there for you. So
Yeah,
or Tropicana. I'm sorry,
it
Tropicana, the Trop theaters.
if it's open this month, then you never know.
I don't know if it's still even open, but yeah, I know it's the building's still there.
Yeah,
It's probably a swap meet or something by now. So
who knows?
yeah, not a dollar theater anymore, I would imagine, or a
Definitely
budget
not a
theater
dollar
per se.
anymore.
Yeah, nothing's a dollar anymore these days. But
No.
I will say that it is some disappointing numbers. I think when Disney sits down, Bob Iger sits down with the Disney crew, sits down with James Cameron. I know that they already have Avatar 3 already in the bank. I know that's already something that's going to come out 2024 as a done deal. But James Cameron said this movie has to make a ton of cash in order to make its money back on the film because they filmed both of these movies back to back. And also for the existence of his envisioning of at least a 5 movie set. Of course, they say the same things about some other these movies as far as what we see, the Fantastic Beasts, for instance. Supposedly that will be a 5 movie set, but it doesn't look like that with the way HBO Max is, cutting some films here and there.
Yeah.
But when it comes to what we're seeing with Avatar, it's kind of iffy now with the kind of returns we're getting in the initial investment. It no longer can rely on DVDs and Blu-rays to go ahead and sell buco bucks for years on end afterwards. Your thoughts on if there is going to be a big future or maybe a tempered future for the Avatar series?
I think there's a future, but it's definitely got a ticking clock on it.
Hmm.
It's not. I think their vision was a 2009 vision, and
Hmm.
times have changed to the point that that long game like that is just not feasible anymore. But look what they did with beating the Fast and the Furious series into the ground, and to think they wanted 12 movies, 12, until the unfortunate, accident. They wanted 12 movies, so they scrambled. I guess they're cutting it off at 10,
Well, it's kind of 11.
right? But then they tried with the spin-offs, and it's not there, and that long game's not there anymore. So
I
I
still
don't
think that they
think.
got to go ahead and grease out a series or something related in the universe after the movie series is done, just to make sure Peacock could get something out of it.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that falls in tow with Avatar. Disney Plus
Yeah,
is going to have to come up with something on their end to keep that alive going into this third film,
that's
especially if they
different
want to
though.
generate the money.
That's different though because the sheer costs involved. Do you actually? I mean,
Oh, it's
I
insane.
I know it is insane, and that's the thing I'm saying because with Andor that's come out and the Marvel shows, they do have some special effects houses that they lease out to and they budget out to, not just Lucasfilm or whatever the Marvel ones use. They lease out to companies all over the world to go ahead and cover for the special effects, but they try to do it when it comes to the TV shows on a budget
Oh,
because
absolutely.
yeah,
Look
so
at Agents of Shield versus things we saw cinematically. There's a
exactly.
humongous difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Avengers Endgame as compared to Loki or or something of that nature. I just
Big difference.
a big difference, and I'm not sure if I'm sure they will try, most likely, to generate something for a Disney Plus audience directly in the Avatar universe, just to make sure they're trying to squeeze every dollar that they can. But I would want to make sure first that the movie audience is still there. And right now, the movie's getting okay reviews. People are saying is it worth staying in there? They're not sure for 3 hours and 50 minutes. Remember, with
Yeah.
previews and the Oppenheimer trailer, which we just saw, that including that's going to give you another 20 minutes beyond that. So you're talking almost a 4-hour commitment that you have to make. It's really just so hard for audiences to go ahead and do that if you're not giving them an outstanding event. And even though it's visually striking, the substance for a lot of people is just not there this time around. So I really think it's going to be hard for Avatar to remain at the top of the heap when it comes to all the stuff, especially with all the shots that James Cameron's been making on Marvel and Star Wars these past few years. Star Wars has had hard times. Even Marvel's had hard times. So really, I think it's going to be hard for Avatar to sustain the high level of excellence that it definitely so tries so hard to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think that third movie is going to have to do with a lot of these people I see are trying to do is calling that audible of realizing, you know what, let's go back to basics, go back to what brought us to this dance in the first place. And you see it a lot happening with a lot of these companies and a lot of the, franchises and series going forward here rolling out in the future in the next, maybe 5 years. You see where a few of them are starting to go, you know what, back it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's go back to where we started a little and slow it down.
Because I don't see it outgrossing at this point. It may outgross Top Gun Maverick with 1.4 something million, 1.4 something billion. I think I was talking about on the Friday show.
Mm-hmm.
It may reach that. Probably not. It'll probably fall below that, which I think has got to be normally people would be doing backflips for that. But when it comes
Not
to a
in this
movie so
case, yeah.
expensive, yeah, for Avatar, no, not really.
But unfortunately, you have to wonder: is that something they have to consider now? Is that did we over? Are we overdoing what And then really, at this point, they don't have a choice. But did they kind of shoot themselves in the foot? Putting themselves in that position that they have to do it that way.
Well,
It
this is
has to
all
be
the
so
control.
expensive.
Well, this is the control of James Cameron. Remember James Cameron also was doing this with when he started out Avatar 2, The Way of
Yeah,
Water. It started out as a 20th Century Fox with 20th Century Fox. It was not Disney. Disney bought into this studio when they bought the studio, so they bought into this film
yeah.
when it was already well under production. In fact, it may have already been finished on that end, and then they may have been working on 3, or I don't know where they were stood, but you get the drift. It was
Yeah,
still,
close.
yeah, it was
Definitely.
already well too much in the process for them to back
Established and
out.
everything
Yeah,
else, of course, yeah.
yeah. So by the time Disney had their hands on it and the sale went through, it's like, okay, I guess you got to do it. You're already doing it. So
And do you think
say
that brings changes for 3, though? Do you think Disney's gonna try and get their thumbprint on it a little more now that they have the control?
maybe, yeah, that's a good question. I would do so, especially if the returns are not great. If the movie does make 1 billion, 2 billion, three, maybe go ahead and give James Cameron still some leverage on that. But if it doesn't make the kind of numbers that's going to even be break even that they want,
Time
then
to
maybe,
step
like you
in.
said, yeah, Disney might step in. I mean, you saw the same thing with Jonathan Nolan, with him, Tenet. He had to be in theaters. It had to be in theaters. Cannot be on HBO Max day one. Cannot do that. Cannot do that. Well, you saw what happened to it. It didn't do anything near what it needed to do in the theaters, partially because of what was going on in the world and the environment at that time. But his adamant subs, and it's got to be released now. When it could have been, uniced, I would have iced that thing for 2-3 years until appropriate time where an audience could see it. Even though, again, it's a movie that you have to get and understand. And I'm not sure everybody would have gotten it and understand it. That's beside the point. But when it comes to the control that some of these directors have, you know, it's sometimes it's not for their own good.
No, sometimes the ego gets in the way. As much as I hate to say it that way, it's just that's how it seems.
Absolutely, but we'll see with Avatar 2, The Way of Water, doing $435 million worldwide at the box office, 300 of which is from the international audience, which again is very much proving that they're coming out strong for the film. Meanwhile, the US is showing that we saw it, we're going to see it, it's doing pretty good, but not quite the level that Disney was hoping for. So, what are your thoughts out there on the future success of the Avatar series after watching or hearing the news on Avatar 2, The Way of Water? Please let us know your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. And speaking of which, the Oppenheimer trailer, which came out in the trailers that you see before the Avatar movie itself, what were your thoughts on that? Because Oppenheimer, if you're not sure, it's a Christopher Nolan movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's his first movie with Universal because he left Warner Brothers after being with them forever, after the fiasco that went down with Tenet. He's now with Universal. Made this film. It's again about the guy who originated the atom bomb, and we all know what happened there. But it has a truly star-studded cast because Nolan can get pretty much anybody he wants to in the film. Your thoughts on this? Cillian Murphy does an excellent job in so many other things. Peaky Blinders, which is an underrated hit to everyone out there that it has a chance to see it. Everyone that sees it absolutely loves it. What are your thoughts on Oppenheimer after watching the first trailer? The first
I
real trailer, I
The
should say.
first real trailer, yeah,
Yeah,
not a teaser.
yeah, not a
First
teaser.
real trailer.
Yeah, the first
I
real trailer.
I'm very much looking forward to July.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. Like you said, star-studded.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my boy's in there. Robert Downey Jr. is in this movie. So I mean, come on, it's got to be good. This. We're gonna find out why Iron Man died. This is why Iron Man died, guys. This is why.
Yeah. Well, Universal does have a little bit of that when it comes to the Avengers, when you go to the theme parks and all that.
Well, let's
So,
be real. Universal has a way of coddling you know, their people too. They take care of their people.
come on, give up the Hulk, though. Give up the Hulk. Get it back to Marvel.
Yeah,
Come on.
that part. I try to tell him.
Yeah. Oh, well. But Oppenheimer, I think, looks really intriguing. Obviously, he's telling the history and story of the man himself and what became to be as far as his creation is concerned, and how it became one of the most monumental things in human history as far as creations, for good or for bad. I'm not going to go ahead and go there because obviously it's been such a destructive force and
Yeah.
has shattered many lives. And obviously we know about what the atom bomb and the destruction it can create, but the individual himself behind it, what was he might have been thinking and doing in that process. So I'm really intrigued to get into the mindset of Oppenheimer as far as hopefully seeing maybe a portrayal of it that's good, that maybe gives us a little glimpse behind the man himself, and hopefully that will be taking place in July, late July, when it comes around as Oppenheimer. So looking forward to that. But before we head to the break, my friend, I wanted to get your thoughts on the DC restructuring. Speaking of Jonathan Nolan's or Christopher Nolan's old company, which was Warner Brothers DC / Discovery / whatever they want to call themselves today. The DC restructure going on with Peter Safran and of course James Gunn going there and just swooping everything seemingly. They had their issues last week as far as the controversy with Patty Jenkins maybe being out as far as director of a future Wonder Woman, possibly Gal Gadot being out with her on a possible future for Wonder Woman. We don't know what that will be as far as a future for Wonder Woman. With Aquaman 2, it is now pretty much, I don't know if it's been confirmed, but it's pretty much thought of as the fact that this will be Jason Momoa's last turnaround as Aquaman. Maybe he's been offered Lobo as a character, as an alternative, and something other than that. And then Superman, we heard late last week after, Henry Cavill appeared in the end credits there for Black Adam saying, I'm back. I've left The Witcher. I'm all good now. Coming back to you, DC. Peter Safran and James Gunn said, no, you ain't. But they said it nicely. They all came to a nice agreement on it. They were very polite to each other. They all spoke good things to each other on social media as only they can. Don't want to know the inside scoop on that. Although, yes, we want to know the inside scoop, but
Just a tad.
just a tad. But I'm not feeling bad for Henry Cavill because he handled it very graciously, and he was also in exchange given the Warhammer 40K series on Amazon. So that's not a bad deal if you can get it. So maybe even James Bond, Mass Effect. Now he can go ahead and do some of these other. People even talked about him being in Knives Out, a threequel. There you go. So the future's still looking good for Henry Cavill, sans Superman. Even though I know he was very disappointed that he wanted to come back to this role and is no longer going to be a part of it. They're talking about a younger Superman and all that. But I know you're a big superhero fan.
Oh, yeah.
As a big superhero fan, what are your thoughts before we head to the break?
I'm not too mad at it. I was kind of confused where they were going to go with that whole end credit scene, anyways. With as far as how long it's been.
Those were just two friends. They're good friends.
Yeah,
him
of
and
course,
Rock.
of course.
Rock wanted Henry Cavill back, got Henry Cavill back, and that was just two good friends. Really wanted a future together in the movies, and maybe in another movie they're coming.
They did, and remember, you said they had a little gentleman's agreement as far as when they parted ways, and they did say that they wanted to look forward to working with him in the future. They didn't say what aspect that was.
Kevin Feige might step in and say, no, sorry, James Gunn, I might be getting him in for Captain Britain. That's been talked about.
True. The one door closes, right? That there's a reason
for him, a lot more open up.
And if you think about it, I think this whole thing looks like it's trying to sweep under or erase the Snyderverse, so to say. I think that's what inevitably is. The end game is to erase it completely.
Yeah. That's
who can blame them?
Yeah.
We're very adamant too to say that yes, this is a younger Superman, but it's not an origin story. They were very quick to point out that it is not an origin story. They just want the young reporter, Clark, fresh out of Kansas, Clark Kent.
No, I agree.
That's fine, but how do you not say that that's an origin story still? Granted, he already has his powers at that point. He knows what he's doing. He's trying to come into his own. Mm-hmm. But it's still a small bit of an origin story if you think about it.
But I think you're right on the Snyderverse. They want to get rid of the Snyderverse in the worst possible way. Ezra Miller has already gotten rid of himself after The Flash, after all the legal trouble that he's gotten into. Jason Momoa, I thought, was the safest one of them all because, his bro dude, Aquaman, has seemingly been such a hit with audiences. Aquaman made over $1 billion. If Aquaman 2 makes over $1 billion and you still send him away, that really seems like a not too bright move there, but you're right. If they do, that really tells me that they want out of the Snyderverse in the worst way.
Yeah. Let's hope they don't, because like you said, that would be really, odd for them to do, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Yeah, just again, you want to put your own mark on it. I don't blame him. If we went in there, we'd probably want to make our own mark too, but if you do, then where does that leave the Joker with its sequel with Lady Gaga and playing her own version of Harley Quinn, and then you've got what's going on with Robert Pattinson. You're going to leave that in there, the Batman. What about Peacemaker? Peacemaker is probably going to be good because look who directed that, James Gunn. That's probably of anybody in this DC universe, he's probably Suicide Squad members. Most of them are probably good because
James Gunn again. That part funny?
Yeah.
Whose name is written around everything that's been good in the DC universe?
Not all of it's good, but
most a lot of it. And that's I don't want to say it's the scary part, but this guy,
like the first Aquaman made $1 billion. People
left
think that's
his
a good
mark
movie
in Marvel, and then is leaving his mark in the
because
Pop
James Wan
culture wise, as far as
directed
the
that one, correct?
comics go, what's that?
James Wan directed the Aquaman movie, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean,
I mean, I but did this is it? Did the DC universe find what it needed? Is this truly the complete answer?
I know. And again, I'm not going to complain. I know Josh is not very happy, and I was hoping you would come on so he could do that, but I know he's really tired. So I said, just stay home, just share your thoughts another day. You know you will. So I said the whiteboard for DC has always been messy, so I guess this is the opportunity to clean
I
it up.
think this is coming through, cleaning up a little bit and tying some things together.
I'm cleaning it up now. All right, I'm cleaning it up. I'm cleaning it up. All right, so I guess you got to do it. You got to do it. But what are your thoughts out there on the changes at the DC universe? Please let us know your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, 1/2 hour down, 1/2 hour to go here on the Pop Culture Cosmos. I'm having a good time with my good friend, Mr. KoopaDGen, Mr. Jamie Monroy. You got to go ahead and check out what he's doing and all the damage he's creating and all the things he's virtual things he's getting rid of today at KoopaDGen on Twitch. Not doing anything bad in real life, just
No,
doing a
no.
whole bunch of bad
I
on the
keep it
video
all
game
online.
scene. Yes, but it's all part of the game. Yes,
Exactly.
yes. When you're playing Call of Duty, you're not exactly being an angel in Call of Duty.
Of
Yes.
course not.
No.
Of course
No.
not.
I watched your
Can't be.
streams.
You can't
Yes.
be.
Yeah, you can't be. Can't be indeed. But my friend, still a 1/2 hour to go. One of the things I did want to talk about before we get into last minute Christmas gift ideas was something that really trended when I shared the story on our Pop Culture Cosmos page on Facebook. A whole bunch of people commented on it. A whole bunch of people liked it, laughed at it. It was, and the irony is there in spades. And that was the news that the Blockbuster series that was on Netflix for a hot minute, 10 episodes. I actually did have a great interview with two former Blockbuster video managers who shared their thoughts on it and really didn't like it. Had some great memories of their own. I thought it was trash. And apparently, so did a lot of other people because it was not very well watched. It was not very well attended. It never reached the top 10 on Netflix and was subsequently canceled by Netflix. Seeing how many years ago Blockbuster had the chance to purchase Netflix for what I think 20 million or some paltry number,
Somewhere around there.
some paltry number in the scheme of businesses buying business type thing. They had a chance to buy off Netflix. And in the end, irony upon all irony, about 20 years later, Netflix finally killed off Blockbuster. Let me ask you the question, my friend. Is this truly, after Netflix gleefully greenlit a series on their platform on Blockbuster, and that probably even more gleefully, as I stated in the comments as well, probably with such glee. They were in a no lose situation. They keep it, if it becomes a hit and they keep on running, they make money off of it. If it doesn't, then you know what? They get to kill off something that they probably wanted to do for a long time, anyways.
Yeah. I mean, it was a case of them showing their own history repeating itself.
Mhm.
And remember, was you know as well as I do, Blockbuster's comments back then was no one wants to get their movies in the mail because that's how Netflix started. What did Blockbuster inevitably end up doing right before it ended up dying out? They actually had their own get your DVD Blu-ray by mail service for
And
a
you could return
small
it to the
time.
store. And you could return to the
Uh-huh.
store. Got involved with I think they were purchased by a satellite, one of the satellite,
Yeah,
the
it
Dish
was
Network.
Dish.
Yeah,
Now,
Dish Network.
where did
Yeah,
that make any sense when they
yeah,
were totally against that idea?
yeah, absolutely. And it just
And they
became,
could have had that right there, right
yeah,
there, right there.
too little, too late. And I mean,
I
they're
think
down to
it's
one store. There's one store in Oregon still left. That was what the series was loosely based off of, being one of the last stores out
I
there.
think it's Netflix pulling that scab off again. Like, guess what?
Oh,
Remember, guys? Remember we did it once before. We'll do it again.
yeah, and they enjoyed this. They absolutely
Oh
enjoyed
yeah,
this. Not
because it's
only
like you said,
mocking,
it's
they
a
mock. they mocked them
Win-win.
with just greenlighting series was mocking it, and
Oh
then
yeah,
canceling it was mocking it more. They absolutely just are loving this at Netflix. Yeah, okay, maybe it cost them a little money. It was a failed series. This is a write off for them in the
absolutely.
best way possible. Absolutely. But the thing is that got me, and the reason why we're talking about it so long, and the reason why it's a story on our as far as the current trends is because so many people were talking about it. And I'm not
Yeah,
talking about it from the fact I don't think they are as far as the Netflix end of it. They're talking on the fact because they were fans or knowledgeable about Blockbuster and have those
right.
memories, which is always funny because the fact is, well, if you love Blockbuster so much, you should have supported
Where were you when they
Blockbuster.
needed you?
Yes,
That's how I
exactly.
look at it. Yes, I was there up until the time they closed their doors, only because they had a really good, monthly plan for video games. You could go, pay like it was like five something or almost $10, and it would cover you for the whole month, however many rentals, and you never got late fee. You could keep it as long as you wanted. So that worked out well, but it wasn't enough to save them, obviously. But
Yes.
it's like you just said, all these people are so upset. Oh, how could they? Why? Oh, but where were they? The ones with the memories, if they were former employees and whatnot, that's different. They were there up until the point that those doors closed, wherever they were, or things like that.
Mhm.
But as customers, as fans or whatever you want to call them, where were they when they needed them? You want to be so upset, but where were you when they needed you the most? You weren't
Absolutely.
around. What you're saying now isn't going to help them. They're it's long gone. I don't want to say forgotten because obviously not forgotten. We've seen the comments.
Yep.
Definitely not forgotten. But I mean, that's just Netflix can do that. It's like a yo-yo. They can just play with that all they want because they own that history,
Yep.
so to speak, especially now.
And I'm last thing before we go ahead and move on is this the death knell for Blockbuster? Is this the final stake in the heart of Blockbuster? Is this the last time we will, see any really big or any kind of anywhere near big kind of accounting for Blockbuster outside of a mention of pop culture history? You'll see like again like a Captain Marvel where they'll pop in a Blockbuster store or some guy like Josh when he wears his Blockbuster T-shirt or something like that, like Atari at least is still around trying to make games, and I actually will mention them here in a bit. But when it comes to Blockbuster, when it comes to Toys R Us, even we talk about Toys R Us at the back end of the show, we see what Toys R Us is still being revived. Do you think there is still or can be some life left in Blockbuster yet?
Honestly, with things the way they have gone, especially as of late, it wouldn't surprise me. It definitely would not surprise me if you saw maybe Blockbuster pop up a kiosk like a Red Box all of a sudden,
Mhm.
or something like that, just to keep that. Because there's definitely that nostalgic fan base, Blockbuster people. If you're listening out there, come on. There's been other versions of Redbox. I mean, obviously you've got the fan base. Let's see if those fans will put up or shut up.
I
But
agree.
but I mean, I honestly think there could be something. Really, there honestly could be. Never know.
You never know, indeed. But what are your thoughts out there on a possible end of Blockbuster after the cancellation of the Blockbuster series by Netflix? A, do you think this is truly the end of Blockbuster? And B, how much joy do you think Netflix took in actually making and killing off this Blockbuster series on Netflix? Please let us know your thoughts. It's been something a lot of people have been talking about at the Pop Culture Cosmos page on Facebook. But please let us know your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. My friend, there's still a lot more to talk about before we head on out. Wanted to go ahead and get your thoughts on some last minute Christmas gift ideas for the pop culture fan in your life. I've got a few. I know this is going to be some repeat conversations that I'm going to repeat mentions that I'm going to make. So let me hear your thoughts on some good last minute gift ideas for people out there in the pop culture realm.
Wow. Good last minute ideas. There's some really nice monitors that just came out. As far as I know, Samsung's got some really nice ones that are out.
Always, yes, I
If you
agree.
can afford that high end and you want that high end monitor, definitely they're the way to go right now, in my
Hmm.
opinion. Definitely really nice. Um, what else? I mean, Logitech has some new wireless gaming mice out that are top notch and not too expensive, pretty affordable as far
Hmm.
as your wireless mice go and everything. So there's definitely something to look into there as well. I know
Hmm.
I, I always need to look into new mice. I have
Hmm.
horrible luck with those. I think I'm just too rough with them. It's all that Call of Duty, like you said.
Hmm.
And speaking of Call of Duty, there's a lot of merch out right now on their shop on sale. Falls in with everything, so who doesn't like that? Sport yourself Call of Duty merch if you want. I know I might want a new sweatshirt or something. I don't know if it necessarily has to be a Modern Warfare one, but hey, I'm open. But
Well,
there's a ton of stuff out there right now. I mean, have you seen anything other than what your repeats are? Because I think I might have an idea on some of your repeats.
first off, I am going to start off by mentioning the awesome, absolutely awesome Atari 50, the anniversary collection. It is something I think every retro gaming fan should experience. It is truly giving you not just the history that it gives you a detailed look at, the interviews, the secret documents that are been made public, and obviously the not only a chance to play and interact with some of the games that have passed, over 100 games of the past. There's also included some new enhanced versions of a lot of the classics that you know and remember. So all these things that lined up into it. I think the Atari 50, the anniversary collection, at $40 on almost every platform that's currently out is just an awesome deal. It's a steal, and any retro gaming fan in your life or someone that you think that might be interested in learning more about the video game culture and what it was like in the 70s, 80s, and beyond, I think they should get a hold of that. That's first and foremost. That's a really, really good deal. $40. I mean, over 100 games. I really think
Yeah.
people should get into it.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you on that one. See, I didn't even think of that off the top of my head, but you're right. That's definitely on there. That's a steal.
One of the things I did also want to mention was when you go right now to a Best Buy or a Walmart or any of the major retailers out there, if you need a pretty cool gift that's on somewhat of the cutting edge, something that really can be a good value, the Xbox Series S is still on sale this holiday season, and in some places actually went cheaper by $10 less than the sale price for Black Friday. It actually went as low in some places as 240 as opposed to 250. It's in some places being sold at 250, but some places like Walmart, as I'm looking here, subject to change when you're hearing or watching this, it's showing at 239.99 right now
Yeah.
on Walmart.com. Best Buy is still showing 250, but that's still a great deal right there for you. Target, all these, they all
Especially
have
when
them in
it's
stock.
in stock.
In stock,
That's
absolutely.
the key.
Costco still combines a controller, extra controller with it for under $300, so that's still a great deal if you need two controllers. So yeah, just if you need a console, if somebody's been asking for an Xbox, and you cannot any longer wait for the X, the S is not a bad choice. Get them into Games Pass, get them the whole 9 yards as far as bringing them into the world of Xbox for
And they
two.
just got support for the Quest, so that they VR support now as well for the. So
Exactly. So 240, 250. It's at the lowest prices ever for the Xbox Series S. Wherever you can find it at major retailers, should be there for you. What a great price, especially trying to find the PS5. Still very hard to do, still
good
too
luck.
expensive. In certain countries around the world, it's actually more expensive. So, yeah, right now, it's still the best deal in the house as a next generation console, the Xbox Series S. So, if you can want that, it's right there for you. Great deal. Great deal indeed. Before we head to the break, my friend, I do want to mention as one last time, at least, probably I'll do it again. because it really is just that good. And that is the Blade Runner role playing game right here for you. Telling you what I've seen and what I've interacted with has just been so good. The whole set, the whole 9 yards. You can find that today pretty much any of the major places to go as far as anywhere you go for tabletop RPG. Just it really is the best place to go. I suggest freeleaguepublishing.com. That's where I got it from. They do a great job there. Freya, everybody does a great job out there. So my props to them. You can also go to Drive Through RPG. They start around $25 for the core for some of the core sets and some of the items in there. The core rulebook is $25 at Drive Through RPG. So really, go ahead if you're really interested in the Blade Runner IP. Really, the role playing game right there for you. Brand new, just came out last week. Really good. It's really popular right now. Looking at that, or Cyberpunk is there as well at some of the major outlets. Also, the One Ring. The One Ring I know Melinda has been really getting into. So if you're interested in tabletop RPG action, Blade Runner RPG, the One Ring, all great options. Go to Free League, Drive Through RPG, but Free League has been really great with us. So I really want to go ahead and give a shout out to Free League Publishing. Great prices there as well. Go ahead and check it out if you're into something other than Dungeons and Dragons.
Sounds good.
Sounds yep, my friend, and I think that's pretty much what I got as far as good deals are concerned right now. There's still some other stuff. Please, if you need any help with it, if you have any suggestions, ideas, or if you want to go ahead and have any questions for a last minute gift ideas, there's still time. Just got to go ahead, and if you need some help, please let us know. We'd love to help. Pop Culture Cosmos on social media or popculturecosmos@yahoo.com.
Or help us, just say, hey guys, how did you forget this? Maybe we'll want that too. You never know.
Exactly. Sorry I didn't get you there in mid gulp while you were going ahead and getting the power drink. But my friend, before we head on out, just been great talking to you as always. Wanted to go ahead and mention I got something again in the box in preparation for CES, which I hope you signed up for, which I reminded you already. Did you?
Did I?
I don't know. If you give me that type of answer, maybe you did.
Maybe I did.
Maybe you did. So hopefully you're going to Showstoppers with me and CES with me so we can take a look at all this cool stuff. But I will be interviewing them here at Showstoppers. So they sent this to me in advance. That's ThinkWrite Technologies. ThinkWrite Technologies. Great company. I'm going to go ahead and interview them and talk to them at Showstoppers coming up here in a couple weeks. What I've got here first, this is the TW300. TW300. So taking a look at this, headsets out there, budget headsets, I believe all under $50. In fact, I think I heard even under $40. So that's what they have in mind right here, the TW300. Look at this bad boy right here. Really looking cool. Liking what I'm going to actually go ahead and give these a test. I'm actually probably going to go ahead and send Melinda one, and maybe I even should send Jamie one as well since he's here. I might drop by that place. You might see a blue package near your house here in the coming days as well, my friend. So
I'll keep my eyes open. That aesthetically, that looks a lot like those higher end HyperX
there you go.
headsets. So that's pretty nice.
What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box? Number 2, right here, TW250XG. XG right there for you in the house, baby. I'm telling you, my friend.
Let's talk about this packaging, guys. This is all classy. Look at the nice plastic that everything is surrounded in. That's nice.
ThinkWrite. That's Think WRITE Technologies. ThinkWrite Technologies. Big shout out to them. I'm going to have a great conversation with them. This right here, this one right here. Look at it right here. Awesome as well. TW250XG. Going to go ahead and we're going to make sure we give this a test and just make sure we go ahead and share our thoughts before we go ahead and talk to them, just to hear everybody's thoughts on that. So I think I might have to float one of these over to Jamie and one over to Melinda just to make sure that they are able to go ahead and share their thoughts on this as well. So
I see if they can handle mine.
Yep, you might have
obnoxiousness
a.
over
You
on
might. I
cause.
have a
Never know.
feeling Santa's going to be dropping one of these bags near your doorstep, my friend. So
Well,
in the
ho
not too
ho
distant
holy,
future. Ho ho ho! What?
yeah,
Okay, ho ho ho! Indeed. All right.
exactly.
Yes, yes. And last but not least, right here. Okay, another
Ooh.
ThinkWrite Technologies headset. I can feel it already. It is the TW 220 with my terrible eyesight now. I got to get my glasses on because my family rips me a new one when I don't have a anywhere if I don't put my glasses on because I don't think it's sexy enough for my television set out there for
Uh-oh.
all my streaming purposes, I should say. So here we go. Another one. Look at that. Very lightweight. All three are lightweight, which is first and foremost important to me because I used to have heavier headsets than these before I got these from Audio Technica, and they used to do a number on my head and my ears. I used to get
Oh yeah.
so many earaches
The
and
top of your
headaches.
ears would just feel like they were, oh.
My gosh, yes, because you know how much I can blab, and that's really not a good thing unless
I,
you're going ahead into podcasting. But this right here, yeah, really solid. So I'm looking forward to going ahead. This is a USB connection on this one. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and float one of these to you. I'm going to see if I can go and float one of these to, or excuse me, Santa Gerald will go ahead and go on a sleigh
Gerald
ride.
Claus.
Yes, yes, Gerald Claus will go ahead and see if he can get on a sleigh, aka Nissan Rogue, and just slide on over and see if I can deliver these to your doorstep and see what we can go there. And also Melinda, hopefully I won't scare her when I'm just going ahead and driving, or excuse me, going by in my sled and just say, "Hey, Melinda, here you go." So ho ho ho.
It's got to be less scary than Amazon Flex drivers, so we're okay.
Yeah, okay, fair enough, fair enough. No, I already told her she's going to get one of these as well. So, want to go ahead and make sure everybody knows that ThinkWrite Technologies, really, really great company. Really cannot thank enough for the opportunity in advance before I actually even speak to them. I'm going to go ahead and be able to try these out. We're going to try them out. Again, we're just really, really looking forward to it. Best place to go for this, again, I'm going to give their website out, so hopefully you'll take a look at it. Encore Data Products. So right there for you with encoredataproducts.com/thinkwrite. If you type that in, the whole site comes up and they're really looking there, including the 250XG gaming headset right there for you. And also the TW200 and the 220, all right here for you. Looking that like just saw them, just showed it to you, and really, really looking forward to get a chance to showing them on the air and hopefully even trying them out here in the not too distant future. So definitely looking forward to that. But if you have any questions on that, please go ahead, check them out. EncoreDataProducts.com/thinkwrite. Tell them the Pop Culture Cosmos sent you. It'd be great if you did. Just let you know that we're thinking about them. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and have a conversation with them during the course of CES. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping Jamie will join me because we always have a good time. Back before, man, last time we did it was right before the pandemic and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We were doing like, I guess I got the pictures of us right there. I'm looking at the picture right there when we made total fools out of each other right there in front of a live
They
audience right there. Yeah.
they
So
told us
yeah.
to do it,
Yeah,
so
I remember that was also the free, was that the free loving one with the beads they gave us on
yeah,
that, like the
and
hippie
then
stuff?
the prop stuff for the hippie stuff, and
Yeah,
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 yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's hung up right there, right below my Avengers A. So I will tell you what, we'll make sure we have a good conversation with them. If you're welcome enough to join me, my friend, hopefully you'll be able to do so. And once again, it's the Pop Culture Cosmos heading back to CES. But again, if you can give some love to ThinkWrite Technologies, please do so today at EncoreDataProducts.com. But my friend, it's been a great episode. Love unboxings, my friend. It's
That was
always
fun.
cool. I've been very blessed. Again, Freya at Free League with of course the Blade Runner tabletop RPG, and now ThinkWrite Technologies. Man, I'm getting all this cool stuff. I'm going to make sure that people know that they're awesome. But before we head on out, I got something a little bit more serious to talk to you about. And that's is when you go to your local Macy's these days, the latest gimmick that they have, they kind of teased the little thing last year. It's kind of like this little, what, little small area next to the cash wrap. They kind of made it bigger this year.
An eye cap, if you could call it that.
Yeah, something like that. The big thing this year, though, is that they even advertised it, and put some TV money into it, so they
Mm-hmm.
actually serious. Is the return once again? I sound like William Shatner of of
We'll
Toys R
see
Us. Yes,
if we can grow up or not.
exactly. Oh my gosh, space was so depressing. Being in space.
We just wanted Jeffrey back.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
Or
But
did we?
or did we? Toys R Us is the name of the game here that they've been doing advertisements on, even more so than their own products at Macy.
Yeah.
It's just reminding you that they have a section dedicated, a whole section of the store dedicated to Toys R Us and a revival of Toys R Us. It's not its own store,
Yeah,
but it's
don't get
kind
it
of like
twisted like it sounded for a minute. It's
a store
nothing like
within a
that.
store, but it's kind of like just think of it like another department. You got your men's,
Yeah.
you got your luggage at the Macy's, you got your jewelry, and then you're going to be meandering over to what will be the Toys R Us section.
Right.
So I ask you, my friend, it's great that Toys R Us is still alive in some semblance. They tried to create some stores a couple years back and just, really didn't go over well because of the way it was designed, just really wasn't kid friendly. It was kind of like, generation, you name it, friendly. It wasn't, really, it was targeting the parents more than the kids, which
Right.
was really kind of disappointing. But it ultimately was too expensive to have these kinds of stores. They kind of nixed that, and then basically after they nixed that, they went it with the Toys R Us in Macy's stores. But
Mm-hmm.
is this a real thing? Is this a good thing? Do you ultimately see maybe a future to maybe return of Toys R Us by itself in their own freestanding stores on a larger basis this next time around? Maybe.
I don't know. I don't think this is going to lead to a larger basis. To be honest, I honestly questioned myself if this was going to lead to maybe you've seen like the Best Buy mobiles, like they're in the mall. They're
Mhm.
probably not. I don't even want to say a quarter, maybe a quarter of the size of a Best Buy, if that.
They do
But
better with the freestanding machines you see at the airports.
right. Now that's what I'm wondering. Is it? Are we going to end up there? Because have you walked through one of these Toys R Us's in the Macy's?
I didn't this year yet. I probably
I
have a
did.
I have a feeling I will be the next
I
few
did
days for some
just
last minute shopping
recently, and
because I'm
oof,
kind of behind.
I hear
But
you.
um, I will say that it would be great if I can go ahead and get a chance to look through it. I looked through last year and nothing, the little small area that was dedicated to it, just nothing stood out
I have
because,
to say that they stretched out the areas so it kind of like stems out more,
uh,
obviously, which is what they wanted. But it's a lot of it's very basic, and
mhm.
you have to wonder. You said it yourself when they tried it. It was geared more towards the adults. Is this any different? Do you know a lot of kids that go shopping at Macy's?
Only with parents,
And gearing by where most of them are situated, which the one I went to was the one in the Galleria,
in
where
Henderson, Nevada, here
right
near Las Vegas.
where it's situated, it's not it's not anywhere you're taking your kid.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, if you're shopping, your kid doesn't have much of a choice to go with you. But what
You
I'm
are
saying,
going, Junior.
right? What I'm saying is, it's not in an area where you would be shopping for your child, which is what you would think would be more ideal
Mhm.
of a placement for it.
Yeah.
Not just outside of a men's department or something.
But do you think this could possibly lead to a revival of the brand in a more standard, traditional brick and mortar fashion, like the Lego stores
Maybe,
you see in some malls and things
maybe,
like that?
but nothing really big. I don't think it's ever going to be what it was. We're not going to see like the Toys R Us the size of a Costco like it used to be.
Yeah.
I think it's more so going to be maybe like you said, the Lego size store inside of a mall, or Maybe like
Ironic
the
that they
Best
could be
Buy
this.
Mobile, it's something
Well,
that big, you know? Who knows?
ironic that they would be the size of a KB store.
Right? Who knows? But I mean, did we ever
Downsizing.
see KB come back?
I don't think so. They
I
could
think
be
it
still out
tried
there.
a small bit, and I think there
Right.
might be a handful,
Yeah, I'm gonna
if
look
there's
that up
any.
now, but I think you're right on that. Yeah, they tried to, but you know,
Because I know the last time I saw one was in an outlet mall, and I think
well, they're
even that
still
one was
online. Like
gone.
Montgomery Ward's is still. I get still stuff from
Right,
Montgomery Ward's, and they closed
right.
down their brick and mortar store years ago.
That's what I'm
So
saying, though. I don't really see a brick and mortar future for them, especially if they're inside the Macy's right now. That's avoiding them having their own overhead as far as
yeah,
employees, as far as rent. You know, smacked whatever deal they smacked with Macy's, and they're okay.
yeah,
Their names out there, their products being sold, and let's be real, how much of their product is actually Toys R Us product? A lot of the product is all Hasbro, Mattel. It's somebody else's. Is my point, which can be sold anywhere, Target, Walmart. You know, I'm just saying, there's not a lot of product that was just Toys R Us product that you're gonna see in these stores.
and that's going to be so hard for them to compete. Even if they have a brick and mortar stores, you're talking about you're trying to feed off of nostalgia that me or you would try to bring our kids into
Yeah,
because of the nostalgia factor, and it's just going to be so hard for them to stay afloat. There's a reason why they haven't been able to stay afloat in the first place when they've
yeah.
tried to bring it back to compete against the Amazons, the Walmarts, the Targets,
The Five
and
Belows.
yeah, the Best Buys of the world, who are really, really already set in where they are. The Costco's of the world. Costco's
Yeah.
usually have when it comes to holidays, they have dedicated holiday sections for toys and things of that nature. Yeah. So,
You know, I
yeah.
honestly thought of all places too that it would have been maybe a Costco or a Sam's Club that Toys R Us would have been partnered with as far as getting into. Not something like Macy's. It didn't make much sense to me. I
Well,
honestly thought if anything it'd be like maybe Target, you know, something that they just I don't know. I see more traffic in those places as far as that would go
yeah.
than I do a
Well, this is a
Macy's.
reach by Macy's in a declining brick and mortar retail market. They're just trying anything they can to get you in the stores.
Yeah, true that.
Yeah, true that indeed, my friend. But once again, wanted to ask you if the revival of Toys R Us and Macy's stores is something that gets you excited to return to Toys R Us. Please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. My friend, it's been great having you here. My good friend, just my longtime friend, my compadre. Just truly great to have you back. Once again, just thankful that you could join me on a venture once again in the world of pop culture. But before we end it out, please drop everywhere that you are at for your streaming ventures.
Wow. So, well, as Gerald mentioned quite a few times, which you guys are probably sick of hearing, I am on Twitch. So that'd be twitch.tv/KoopaDGen. That's KOOPA. Almost forgot to spell my own thing. DGEN.
Right.
Also, same name, just cut out the Twitch part. I actually did set up a page for streaming also on Facebook Live. And what else? YouTube as well. I have a YouTube. It's not that popular. It's not that great. I also have tried to revive and probably will be reviving up Game Source's YouTube. Try and throw
Well,
some
there
of
you
my
go.
little irrational killing adventures or what have you over there as well.
There you go. Absolutely. The channel that only YouTube could kill, and killed it did. Yes, with those copyright
Darn them.
infringements. Yes, absolutely, indeed.
Back when it wasn't cool to be cancel cultured, we were cancel cultured.
Yeah, by Google themselves. Wasn't over anything controversial. It was over something. Oh yeah, that's a Sony game in the background. I guess we got to go ahead and make sure you don't get
Yeah.
any money off that. Those 50 to 100,000 views. Yeah, there you go. You're out the door. You go. But what can you do? What can you do?
What can you do?
Such is the life of a streamer.
True story.
So for KoopaDGen, aka Jamie Monroy, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We wish you a happy holidays and thank you so much for
Yes.
listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great